you've since going into this line of work, however you choose to define it, I think, based on our first question, you'd rather not. What life lesson has taken you the longest to learn during this period?
Oh, wow. I would say that you can't plan everything and that it's okay to take the unconventional route. I think probably the second one took me the longest time, right? So I think I did talk a bit about the uncertainty bit, and that kind of ties into you can't plan everything, but I think the second part took me a long time to realize, to learn, and to accept. Because I was from a very normal heartland family, and in fact, my mom told me no one in our family has ever been to university. So it was since I was as little as I can remember. I was like, I'm gonna do that. I'll be the first, and that was a focus in my life. And I think growing up at that time, the narrative that was fed to us, both by the government and my parents, right, was if you study hard and you do well in school, you will do well in life, and you will kind of be able to make a so-called better life, right? So when I grew up, we had very little luxuries because we just didn't have extras for that, so even something like going to kopitiam, we would either not order a drink or have to share a drink just because it's an extra, right? So something like that. So I told myself, when I'm older, I want to be able to spend money on whatever I want, whenever I want, without thinking so hard about things, right? So it was very single-minded. I'm gonna study hard, do well in school, and then go on to this amazing, wonderful life that's supposed to be waiting for you at the end of graduation, right?
Yeah.
So I did that. I mean, I mostly with some hiccups along the way, mostly did the so-called right thing. And I really didn't enjoy being in JC. I didn't. I thought the system was and then I didn't understand why I had to take econs. For example, I wanted to do a pure arts stream, but it didn't happen. But then I stuck it through because in my head it's you just got to make it to uni. And I was afraid that if I went to poly, that somehow that plan would get derailed, right? Because it was harder to go to poly then. So glad they've changed that, by the way, right?
Yeah.
So then I stuck it out and I went into uni, and I was very focused, okay, I have to graduate with really good honors, and I have to be on the dean's list, and I have to make sure all that happens. So I made sure all that happened. But then after I graduated, I was so lost. I was like, what do I do now? I mean, I got decent offers from a few companies, and I wasn't sure which one to take and which industry even to be in. And then MediaCorp called, and then I was like, should I take it or should I not? But basically, it was a lot of the struggle. Even then, signing with MediaCorp was, this is the unconventional route. Is this going to lead me to the success that I told myself would happen? Right? So my parents, or my dad especially, was quite supportive. He's like, it's just a 2-year contract. Just try for 2 years, and then if it works, then it works lah. You would still have only lost so-called 2 years. So I did that, and then 2 years became 3 years, became 4 years, became 5 years, 6, 7, 8 years. I had been in this industry, and I was by then I was so in this industry that I was so worried that if I were to not sign on with the national TV station or radio station, that I would be finished. What would I be able to do? Right? And I had a lot of struggles the whole time that I was actually signed with the station as well. When I saw my friends getting promoted to mid-level managerial positions and stuff like that, I was in banks and stuff, I was that would have been me, if I had done the so-called conventional route, if I had gone the conventional route. And I struggled so much with that, right? And then after that, when I left the TV station and I decided to do my own thing, wow, that was another struggle. I was at least then I was assured of a certain regular salary and certain other things. And I'm now that I'm doing my own thing, I'm really taking the unconventional route. And I used to prickle when people ask me what do you do? I'll get very upset because I'll be am I doing anything at all? Now I don't get upset. I'm just how do I when you ask me, how do I explain this in a short answer way, right? It's just a bit more of a logistic, how do I do it? But then it used to upset me because I felt am I just not doing anything that's meaningful, right? So I think I struggled so for the longest time with that, thinking that I'm supposed to have this career, so to speak. And it's only in the past few years that I realized that actually the world is changing, right? Firstly, there is no such thing as this one career for life, for sure. But there's also a lot of people who do midlife career switches. And there are also a lot of people who have a job and then they do a lot of really cool things on the side, like you doing this podcast, for example, right? That is your passion, that hopefully would be your career as well. And I tell myself, oh my gosh, I'm so lucky to be able to be doing my passion as a career, even though it's not the most easy to define, right? But I'm literally making a living doing what I really, really like. And there's nothing that I'm doing now that earns me money that I don't like. I mean, there's certain aspects that are a bit annoying about the job here and there, but I love the work, you know, and I'm like, I should be grateful for that and not think like, I'm not like a lawyer, doctor, banker, or whatever I thought was the conventional route. And I just feel like, wow, if the sooner I should have figured this out, the like less tormented I would have been. Thinking about, you know, what is this route or what is the path in my life, what I'm going to be doing in 10 years' time. I have no idea. But it doesn't matter anymore to me. It's like I know I'll be doing something meaningful and I'll be okay.